Welcome. I'm Nick DiTomaso, and this is the Seniors Forum. In about 15 days, Americans will have an opportunity to exercise their First Amendment right of freedom of choice. On November 2nd, hopefully, voters will flock to their respective polling places to choose their candidates for the U.S. Senate, their representatives in Congress, and to elect their state representatives for the Senate and the Assembly, and judges for various courts. About a month ago, I had as my guest a candidate seeking his party's endorsement for Congress, representing the 17th Congressional District. A few days after the show, I was asked, why have a candidate who is not in our congressional district on the show? We can't vote for him. But before I tell you my response to the questioner, let me introduce and give a warm welcome to Anthony Mele.
Thank you, Nick.
Welcome,
Thank you
Anthony.
very much for the invitation.
Once again. Welcome once again to the Seniors Forum show, Anthony.
Thanks.
Anthony, do you remember what I told you at the end of the last show?
Yeah, buy you lunch?
No. You said that.
I know.
But I told you, after having read your bio and did some research, I told my producer, Dennis Tate, who, by the way, suggested that I have you on the show. I told him, yes, Dennis, call him. This man is what this country is all about. If you are watching the show, don't believe me, go to your computer, log in the name Anthony Mele, spelled M-E-L-E. You will be overwhelmed by his accomplishments in his service to his country. After reading about his service in the military and his service to his government, only 3 words will come to mind to describe my guest: an American patriot. At the end of the show, I thanked him for coming and I left him with this prediction. I predicted that the next time he comes on my show, it will be my honor to introduce him as the Honorable Anthony Mele, Congressman for New York's 17th Congressional District. We haven't reached that plateau, but we're on our way.
We're on our way.
So, again, I want to wish you the very best, and I know I will introduce you as our next congressman.
I think so.
So tell us, what has transpired after we left?
I really appreciate that introduction and the opportunity to come here and speak with your listeners and the audience. I understand you had a good response. It felt really good to get the message out. It's very important that the American public and the people from all areas, from all districts within the state understand what is going on about them. We are all in the same boat together, and these lines and district lines are imaginary that try to divide us. So we all have to understand that we all have to pull together, irrespective of these imaginary party lines, these imaginary district lines, because they affect us all. I appreciate your prediction. Yes, we did. We won the Republican primary. We won it big. Imagine a small insurgent group challenged the business as usual status quo because we knew what the people were thinking and feeling and wanted and represented it, and it went down to a bare-knuckle fist fight, but we prevailed. And now we are the Republican candidate nominee to run in the 17th Congressional District to remove longtime incumbent L.A. Engel. L.A. Engel has been a 22-year incumbent whose philosophy is basically to the working man is that you work and make the money, and I'll spend it. They have done nothing but spend our money and driving our economy into oblivion. We now find ourselves in a $1.2 trillion deficit, trillions more on the horizon, and it's quite irresponsible. What does that mean to some of our seniors? What does that mean to some of the people out there when we talk these staggering numbers that are unimaginable? Well, let's put it this way. To maybe not much to us, but to the succeeding generations, to the current working labor force. They're going to look at a payroll check with such staggering deductions in it that the difference between their gross pay and their net pay will probably fall down near zero. And I don't say that glibly. I say that if you look now at what a payroll deduction, the payroll deductions out of your check looks like, for most people, it's pushing 30, 40%. Others maybe 50%. When we start exceeding 60 and 70% in deductions to pay back to the government, you are no longer working for yourself and independent. You are now dependent and working for the government.
But I think we've reached the state where we can't even pay back the government because it's jobs. You know, everything falls back on jobs. No matter what you try to do, unless you create the jobs first, everything will fall into place.
Everything will fall into place. We are looking at a government that has been seriously addicted to overspending, overreaching, and overtaxing, and can be called job killers. I had the pleasure of having a editorial board interview yesterday with the Gannett editorial board and of my opponent, Elliot Engel. They spoke about how much money they were spending. They asked about the Bush tax cuts and why these tax cuts should not be put in place. They tried to present to us that the reason why we're in a deficit is because the working man is not taxed enough. It's all about jobs. I presented to them that the United States government, President Obama, nor anyone else, has ever created a job. I'm the only man in this race who has ever created a job because I'm a businessman. I'm a business owner. I hire, I fire, I train, I provide, I take people off the street, provide them with a skilled, a marketable skill that they can market in the labor force. The government has never made a job. They've only made an expense. Anytime someone is brought on the public payroll, it's paid with public tax money. That's not creating revenue in a job. That means that more taxes have to go to pay that. The private sector is where jobs are created. The small business owner is the engine of this economy. And it seems that that basic capitalist 101 business course has lost on many. So I presented the only common sense business model that can create jobs that no one has ever presented in the entire United States Congress. And the business model that I propose, that was helped develop by many business proprietors from one end of the 17th district to the other. And to each proprietor, each said, what would happen if we would give them the option of opting out of the payroll tax? The Gannett people said, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? What part of the payroll tax? I said, all of it. You know, when you look on your payroll check, there's your gross pay and your net pay in that box that's in the middle with all the deductions. Well, opt out of that. Let you earn it, you keep it. If you want to pay into Social Security, you want to pay into FICA, you want to pay into all that, up to you, do into it. You want to buy an IRA or CD, you do it. You be the best steward of the money that you work for and earn.